Donald Trump's actions during this presidency have increasingly raised alarms about his approach to democratic norms, rule of law, and the political culture of the United States. His behavior demonstrates a dangerous consolidation of power, a willingness to target enemies using state mechanisms, and a disturbing alignment with authoritarian regimes. In other words, the dictatorship is underway. As the United States approaches a crucial moment in its democratic experiment, this Saturday's nationwide No Kings protest serves as a powerful demonstration of public resistance against Donald Trump's authoritarianism.
President Trump declared Antifa a domestic terror group.
Radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law.
One of the most troubling aspects of Trump's conduct has been his use of the justice system as a political weapon. This has been made explicit through actions such as the Justice Department's indictment of former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Bolton, once a staunch ally, became a vocal critic of Trump and is now being charged with mishandling classified information based on diary entries written during his time in office. The timing and intensity of his indictment raises serious questions about selective enforcement. At the same time, Trump has continued to file dubious lawsuits against media outlets and journalists, exemplifies his desire to silence dissent and punish those who challenge his narrative. These legal maneuvers don't just serve political vendettas, they represent a broader attempt to delegitimize the free press and undermine the legal boundaries that separate government power from personal grievance. Trump's ambitions extend beyond political rivals to encompass an all-out assault on civil society, particularly progressive organizations. His rhetoric and policy directives have increasingly targeted left-leaning philanthropists and non-profits, most notably George Soros and the Open Society Foundations. Soros's organizations support a wide range of democratic and social justice initiatives, from voting rights to higher education. Yet Trump has framed Soros as the puppet master behind what he calls radical left chaos, directing federal agencies to investigate and potentially prosecute these groups under the guise of national security. Trump's regime has explored the use of counterterrorism powers to pursue non-profits and advocacy groups it deems dangerous. Proposed legislation like the Stop Funders Act, introduced by Republican allies, would criminalize financial support for organizations that the administration brands as riot-supporting or extremist. Coupled with Trump's branding of Antifa, anti-fascists, as a terrorist organization, despite it being a decentralized movement with no official membership or leader, these moves aim to equate peaceful dissent with terrorism. This conflation of dissent with criminal behavior is intended to intimidate and suppress legitimate protest. It signals a shift from democratic governance to something far more autocratic, where political opposition is not debated, but punished.
As local communities across the nation prepare for a second wave of mass demonstrations this weekend, known as No Kings Day 2, organizers are expecting millions to take to the streets. In the meantime, questions are growing about the movement's true motivations and funding.
Mr. Secretary,
in an exclusive interview with Spotlight on Maryland, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warned that this weekend's protests could turn volatile if radical elements like Antifa get involved.
This weekend, there will be the No Kings protest that will be sparking up here locally in Maryland, as well as the rest of the country. Are you concerned that groups like Antifa may be embedding themselves into some of these protests? And if so, are you worried about the political temperature rising because of these groups?
So I'm all about free speech. I'm all about protests. It's the great American way. I am concerned about who is funding this, who's paying for it, who's organizing it. I am concerned about Antifa infiltrating and participating in the protests. In a democracy, you debate, you argue, but you don't pick up sticks and rocks and guns and kill each other. We're seeing more political violence on the rise.
A reference Duffy made about Kirk's murder at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah weeks ago, with the FBI saying a bullet casing found at the site was inscribed with the words, "Hey fascists, catch." Antifa, first appearing as an anti-fascist movement in 1930s Germany, now operates as a decentralized, anti-capitalist, anti-authoritarian, and anti-state network With no clear leadership, the official website for No Kings insists the movement is committed to nonviolence.
Another key threat to democracy lies in Trump's foreign policy choices, which have often prioritized relationships with authoritarian leaders over traditional democratic allies. His recent praise for Vladimir Putin following a phone call and his agreement to another summit in Budapest come as Ukraine struggles for survival against Russian aggression. Though Trump has floated the idea of supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles, his equivocation and acknowledgement that Putin didn't like the proposal signals a reluctance to stand firmly against authoritarianism abroad. This tepid support for Ukraine, juxtaposed with his eagerness to secure Saudi Arabia's participation in the Abraham Accords, illustrates a pattern: transactional diplomacy that often sidelines democratic values. Rather than defending liberal democracy on the world stage, Trump has shown a willingness to partner with regimes that mirror his own political instincts: consolidated power, limited dissent, and disregard for human rights. Domestically, Trump has taken unprecedented steps to suppress protest and consolidate executive power. His decision to deploy federal troops to cities like Chicago and Portland under the pretext of maintaining law and order has stirred deep concerns about the militarization of civic life. In several cities, the use of National Guard troops and militarized immigration agents has been challenged in court, but the underlying strategy remains clear: using force to suppress political opposition. These actions go beyond mere law enforcement. They represent a symbolic assertion of authoritarian power. Protesters in cities like Portland have responded with creativity and defiance, showing up in inflatable costumes or staging absurdist acts to challenge the heavy-handedness of the state. The result has been a vivid, sometimes surreal juxtaposition of citizen protest and government repression. This weekend's upcoming No Kings protest is not just another political rally. It's a referendum on Trump's authoritarian ambitions. Organized by a wide coalition including Indivisible, the ACLU, Public Citizen, and hundreds of grassroots organizations, the protest is expected to draw millions across over 2,500 locations. It builds on the momentum of June's protest, which already mobilized millions across the country. The name No Kings itself is a direct rejection of Trump's approach to power. It signals a commitment to the foundational American idea that no individual, no matter how wealthy, powerful, or popular, is above the law. The scale of this protest is also a testament to the growing awareness among Americans that the democratic institutions they took for granted are under attack. Donald Trump's actions represent an ongoing and multifaceted attack on American democracy, from targeting critics and journalists to using the state against civil society to aligning with autocrats abroad. Trump is dismantling the guardrails of democracy in real time. The No Kings protest stands as a vital counterpoint, a nationwide assertion that democracy is not dead, but fighting back. Trump's allies, including members of his own cabinet, have preemptively blamed No Kings for the government shutdown and smeared them as anti-American or paid protesters, a common refrain against street demonstrations, demonizing the very point of free speech and democratic expression. In the face of repression, the people are rising. This weekend, they will send a clear message. The United States is a democracy, not a dictatorship. And no matter how powerful Trump becomes, the country will not be ruled by a king. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5-Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.